Everybody, I wanted to do something different today, so check this out. Pants. I wanted to do some type of video that incorporated the first statue I ever bought from Sideshow Collectibles. I didn't want to just stick to a traditional review, so I've got some ideas. Let's see what they are. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X. If you're new here, this is a very old piece, and traditionally on this channel we have the newest, greatest, and latest high-end collectibles. So we're going to expand it more from just a review, but how does this Skeletor fall in line with the Masters of the Universe statue world? You can actually win some collectibles and some merchandise. First thing to do is comment on this video sometime during the video. We pick random couple comments every month and you can win a prize. Second is we're giving away this statue right here. On our road to 20,000 subs, we are giving out this Mortal Kombat statue at 12,500 subs. All you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification and stay tuned for that giveaway. As I said in the intro, not only was this my first statue ever from Sideshow Collectibles, so there's a lot of nostalgia with it, but I still love it, and I'm keeping him specifically because I have a Masters of the Universe theme that I'm going with in my collection. So I want to do a few things today. We are going to do a traditional extreme review using the extreme scale on Skeletor, but we're also going to talk about how he lines up with my collection, what other options there are for you. So first of all, let's just start with some basic information about this piece. Masters of the Universe is a comic and cartoon line that actually went into a live action movie that starred Ivan Drago. And Skeletor is the main enemy, always trying to kill the good guy. Hopefully you knew most of that. And this is made by Sideshow Collectibles. Sideshow Collectibles made this a long time ago, and they made 6,500 of these. They made a regular version, which is what this is. They made 4,000 of those, and they made an exclusive version at the same price with an additional portrait. Both retailed for $450. These are 1/5 scale, meaning in real life the Skeletor would be 5 times larger. And as I said, he was one of my first purchases. I'm an 80s kid, so I loved He-Man. I loved Masters of the Universe. I even actually liked the live-action movie with Monica from Friends, Ivan Drago, and Perry White from Superman. Some of you got those references. And I love everything about this. I still love it to this day. And I'm actually keeping him because I'm also getting this piece right here. This is actually in transit right now, and I think this looks amazing. I actually used to own the He-Man from this line. I've done a review on him right here. But I wasn't a big fan of him. I didn't like the realistic take. I much prefer the traditional on the custom one I'm getting. I also own the Orko, which is from this line as well. Have a review on that. And I have this custom Castle Grayskull coming. I've showed you guys this a few times. So I'm starting to set up these pieces. And I have my eye out for other Masters of the Universe pieces because, as I said, there's a lot of choices. Most recently, I PO'd this piece from Tweeterhead. He's also 1/5 scale. Will pair nicely with him. The He-Man piece I bought is 1/4. So as you saw, I kind of guesstimated the size. He will be much bigger. I think that's the one downfall with this line. Sideshow also made some other pieces with this line. They made an Evil Lyn, which I was never very fond of. I probably would pick this up if I could get it for around a very cheap price point of $300. They also made a She-Ra, which never really interested me, but it's definitely an option. And if you didn't want to go with them, you have some other options. So let me talk specifically about Skeletor. So another Skeletor piece was also made by Pop Culture Shock Toys. And I personally was never a fan of this piece. It's a little more cartoon accurate than the Sideshow piece, but it just didn't speak to me. Not a huge fan. Easy pass for me, although some people love it. And then here's another option. The group that's making that He-Man, they actually are making 2 Skeletors. First is in 1/3 scale, and I really like this piece. I actually would buy this if it was in 1/4 or 1/5 scale, but he would just tower over my other pieces too much, so I passed on him. And then they have a 1/4 scale version that they're making. And this is too closely related to the Pop Culture Shock Toys piece I showed, so again, it's not for me. I would love them all to be the same scale, but I don't think they're going to scale too badly when they're next to each other, so I'm sticking with this one because I do like this one the best. And let's talk about some of the reasons I like the best. So starting with concept, as we traditionally do in a review, on this guy, so Skeletor comes from Snake Mountain. While they didn't incorporate Snake Mountain into this, they incorporated a snake, and not only that, but an evil snake that has lava apparently dripping from his mouth. And it's wrapped up, he's standing on it, he's standing over that lava, very evil of Skeletor. As you move up, he does have a mixed media, which means a fabric cape on the back. The rest of it is completely sculpted. But he's standing there in a very evil nemesis pose. His full regular armor. Skeletor is just such a cool creature in general, and I think they captured a lot of that. Has this huge staff he always carries with him. A sword on the back you really can't see right now because that's his main weapon of choice. And I really enjoyed what they do. I don't like the fact he's kind of looking at his hand. You guys know that's kind of a pet peeve on some of the statues I've had before. But very, very cool. I think they encompassed everything. This is what we call a museum pose. More of a standing for a picture than he is in the middle of an action dynamic pose. But that whole line is kind of like this. So I think they captured everything perfectly when it comes to concept. I think the concept's perfect for Skeletor. It's an X. It's a 5 out of 5. While I don't remember unboxing him, I remember a lot of the feelings when I unboxed him. I thought he was one of the coolest pieces. This was one of my very first 1/4 or 1/5 scale statues, and the detail was amazing to me. And I do remember, obviously, he has 2 portraits because there is an exclusive and a collector's version, so the head's a separate piece. And let me show pictures of those. First of all, this is the collector's edition. It comes with everything, and I do prefer this one over the exclusive, but I think the exclusive right here is also a cool option as well. And his hands also come off, I believe. Skeletor comes off from the base, and then the sword and the cape in the back come off, I believe. So really easy to put together. Not really a lot of design stuff going on here. I think it's great that they kept the entire line 1/5 scale. I don't like the fact that they're doing 1/5 scale characters. As I said, I really like things scale all the same, and traditionally 1/4 is a lot more popular. So I think that's a small hit on the design, but not huge because they kept the line the same 1/5. Fabric cape instead of a sculpted cape. Usually I would prefer a sculpted. This I don't mind because he's in a museum pose. It hangs straight down. They could have done some wires to help pose it, but it's kind of a ratty old cape. That's who Skeletor is. I mean, he's technically has the head of a skeleton, so that makes sense on there. So design-wise, I don't really think there's a lot I would change or a lot of different things other than the scale. Maybe not holding his hand right there, which I do understand the expression he's doing. He's like, I'm going to get some. So maybe let's just say it's so design kind of in the middle. It's not elaborate. It's 3 out of 5. It's very nice. Now, unfortunately, paint and sculpt is not up to par with a lot of stuff we look at today, but it's not bad. So let's dive in, starting with the base here. The snake could have been much better. It just looks very fake, very plasticky, but then again, maybe it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a stone snake, something of that nature. And the lava coming out of its mouth looks really cheap, looks plastic. I think they could have used a clear resin, but of course the technology 5, 6 years, 7 years ago may not have been what it is now. The rest of the base is very plain, does have the scales on it, which is nice, but the rocks are very plain. And it's good. I like the concept a lot better than the execution. Maybe a little bit more color in there would have helped as well because it is a very dark statue in general. Skeletor does look better on both the paint and sculpt. Let's look at his armor first. I love his armor. You have your traditional Masters of the Universe skulls and symbols all over, whether it's on his shin guards here or his dress where his belt is. The 2 snakes going into the head. Looks great. And I like the faded paint on these. Has a lot of weathering on it. Very, very cool. Some cool detail in this. Like I said, nowadays there is more. Even some intricacy in his gauntlets here. I like the design. Let's look at his skin. I like his skin a lot. So there's some cool things going on here. The anatomy looks great. He's not over-muscularized, but he's thin and trim. And the coloring's great too. This very dark blue color with a lot of black shadowing in the muscle indentations. They did a really nice job on Skeletor himself, actually. I can't see a lot of stuff that I would actually change. His hands here got these really sharp nails. I love that. You always kind of see an evil villain like that. Let's look at his cape. So the back of his cape is kind of this shiny purple, and then on the inside is this tattered black. I like the mix between it, like I said. Kind of makes you feel that he's older, he's a skeleton. Here's a quick shot of his sword. Very similar to He-Man's sword from the line. Very similar sheath, but it does have the skulls on it to insinuate it is bad. Very cool, very detailed. Would be neat if they did do a switch-out hand where he could have been holding this somehow. But his staff looks great. Whatever type of animal head this is with kind of a magical crystal ball on top. There is some cloudiness in there, and I don't know if that's just happened over time. I'm assuming maybe it did, or maybe a spell is being forecasted because Skeletor does have a magical element to him. And let's look at the only portrait I have. This is very cool. It definitely looks like a skull. And I love, it looks like a skull. You can tell it looks evil, which I think is a great accomplishment. It's very, very cool, very evil, very Skeletor-like. There's no mistaking who he is. I think, you know, maybe if the hood was removable as well, that could have definitely been an option. So I still love it. I absolutely love it. I paid the retail price of $450 for it. Nowadays, I think you can get it even cheaper because the edition size was so high of 6,500. But plan on keeping him. And I will definitely, when I get that He-Man statue in, I'll do a side-by-side comparison. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see that, because every new piece I get in, I do a detailed review. But overall, I think I'm going to give the paint, the base would get a much lower score. I think the same goes with both the paint and sculpt. I would give the base a 2, and I'd give Skeletor a 3. Since Skeletor is kind of the star of the show, I'll give the statue a 3 in both paint and sculpt. That's very nice. Now, overall, this statue doesn't have the X factor. It's an older statue. It's a cheaper statue, which doesn't always make it mean it's horrible. There's a lot of nostalgia with this to me, not only from, you know, growing up with Masters of the Universe, but this being my first Sideshow statue. And I think, honestly, this statue alone is one of the reasons I'm continuing that line and not getting rid of it, or expanding on it, I guess I should say. I would love to see a different Evil Lyn as well as other popular characters done. But digging this guy 100%. It's a very nice statue. It doesn't make it a rail just because I have those emotional ties to it. Let me know in the comments below what your first statue from Sideshow Collectibles or any licensed company was. Go ahead and put that. That'd be cool to see below, whether it was something recent or something from even before my time of collecting. I've been collecting about 5 years. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Different kind of video today, but it was kind of fun to do. Kind of fun to go down memory lane. So check out some of these other Sideshow statue collectible reviews, or go ahead and hit that Mr. X logo if you have not subscribed yet so you can catch all this content, both old and new stuff coming in. Thanks so much. Take care.